Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast, NBA edition. Today, we are here during the summer for a very special episode. We are here to talk about NBA Free Agency that's been going on this summer, some of the big moves, some of the moves that caught our eye, and just our general thoughts on it, on what's just going on in the summer as we are entering the fall. We have the NBA aficionado with us, Mr. Evan Debo. What's going on?
I'm trusting the process of the summer, Martin. That's what I'm doing. How are you?
Well, I'm good, man. I am good. Way to really lead the thing right into that one.
What a wild off season. As always, every off season is wild, but a lot of wrinkles. We don't have like a planning sheet ready to go for this because there's just so many ways organically this could go, and I kind of wanted it to go that way. But where would you like to start? Do you want to start there in Philly and then work our way around the league and go one for one till we get tired? Till the
Yeah,
people get tired?
we can just start with Philly. I mean, as you just said, they trusted the process and they landed a lot of great players. I mean, they had Jaylen Brown traded to them, which was a head scratcher, I think, for all of us. To trade with not even just within the conference, within division. KCP signed with them. Our our
Dean
former
Wade.
guy Dean Wade is a 4-year deal with them. Simmons signed, not Ben Simmons, but Simmons signed for 2 years. Ariel signed for 1 year, and Lord and behold, LeBron James went to Philly. Was not on the bingo
and
card.
pulling the strings. One Cleveland Cavaliers general manager as of 3 months ago, Mike Yancey, hired as the new czar of basketball ops. Martin, I'll do some quick hits here, and we can just kind of reflect on the Philly thing. So, you go from a really untradeable contract with Paul George to that's all the cost of admission was to get you to Jaylen Brown. That caught you alluded to it. It caught everybody off guard, right? Just that Jaylen Brown, a Finals MVP, who had really willed the Celtics in there, to do as well as they did without Jason Tatum for 90% of the year last year, and then they lost to Philly in the playoffs too, which is an added piece there. But his value had sunk so low that essentially is a Paul George essentially straight up along with was it one or two first?
I think it was
Here.
two.
Was it two or one?
Let me pull it up.
One in a swap?
I will pull it up.
While you're looking that up, but
Paul
we all know
George, 2028 first round pick, 2031 first round pick from Philadelphia, 2028 second round pick, and a 2030 second round pick.
Okay, so no swaps. Okay, one of those picks I believe does have some value. So it was one Philly pick, and who was the other pick they were passing on? Does it say?
2028 second round pick, best of Golden State, OKC, Milwaukee. 2030 second round pick, best of Washington, Portland, Phoenix, and 2030 first round pick via Philly.
Yeah. Okay. But again, just incredibly surprising. So many different tethers to that. So they acquire it. They acquire him, and I believe I have this timeline right. I think I heard this again the other day. This will come back into fruition. So this trade goes down, and then I believe after the trade goes down is when LeBron James tells the Lakers, I will be playing again, but it will not be playing here. So that's an interesting wrinkle because, we have this 3 to 4 weeks stringing out. LeBron's radio silent. He's doing Fanatics Fest. He's not talking about it. Rich Paul is doing a giant production with Max Kellerman on the Ringers Network. Just don't forget about LeBron could go here with oil in Texas. And, and LeBron, you got Kobe and all these folks and yada, yada. And then, Miami's Miami. And, there would be no whiteboard if the Knicks have won the title. Incredibly frustrating as a Cavs fan to be left at the altar for a third time, fourth time. I think he's 1-4 with options to check up to choose Cleveland, and he's only picked us once, right? And technically, if you go back to drafted, you're forced to go here. Left in 2010, chose the Heat 0-1, then came back 1-1, and then didn't choose us. Went to the Lakers. It's 1-2. Didn't choose us again. Goes to Philly. So now we're 1-3. So we get strung out. He does a series of tweets about all I care about is winning. I don't care. I don't like my own family. Whatever else compared to winning, all the stuff. We get strung out. We're reading all the tea leaves all summer, and they try to walk it back here in Cleveland. This is a Cleveland lens, listeners. This is Cleveland lens. We try to walk it back with, actually, there was a double super secret meeting with Weems, the Cavs assistant general manager, likely to get promoted, long time LeBron best friend, in Akron, and for a cohort with Clutch that said we weren't going to meet with anybody. Now we're walking it back. Well, we did respect Cleveland enough to, like, that's just trying to wash the windows and make the inside of the house look a little bit better. I mean, was that your takeaway, Martin? I mean, so he chooses Philly. And that catches everybody off guard. All the markets, all the stuff. We had a YouTube video in Miami pop up that said announcement, impending essentially. And that's obviously true. I mean, just so much fanfare, like daily fanfare on LeBron. He's nearing, he's approaching, he's maxing towards the decision. And then he ended up maxing towards the decision. So those are all my bullet points.
Yeah, I mean, when Philly made the trade to Jaylen Brown, I guess it made it more enticing, like you already said. So I'm not gonna regurgitate everything. I was shocked. I honestly thought it was
But that was a
between.
leverage point they claimed later, and they said, hey, it was because of they went out and aggressively, like Philly wasn't a thing until they aggressively went out and got Jaylen, almost like, well, you hadn't decided you were leaving the Lakers yet either. So, like, there's something funky afoot.
Yeah, well, hey, I was shocked. That's all I'll say. I was shocked he picked Philly. I thought he was going to go to Cleveland since on his long Twitter trend, he's not signing any more contracts after this one's the last ride. Yada yada. So I thought he would just,
Yeah.
especially from he's going to have camera crews following him, a production standpoint. I feel like it would be a better show and all that if he finished it off in Cleveland. But again, I was shocked. I was like, Philly, because I mean, with the lineup, obviously when you do fantasy lineups, like this lineup's really good 2K wise, so like all the popular now getting 82-0. But there's only one basketball. All of them besides Joel, they're all ball dominant players.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell how it's going to work its way out. And that was held over Cleveland's head. That was held over Cleveland's head for sure. Just with Harden and dribble, pound the rock and Donovan. But I mean, you got with Maxey there and Edgecombe and I mean there's only one basketball. We've seen this work its way out with big threes, big fours, all the things. It'll be settled out. Some of the depth pieces, although I mean, another ad we didn't mention, Anthony Simons, man. I mean, so you got a championship head coach in Nick Nurse. Just incredible, incredible offseason for the Sixers. Obviously, Cavs need to move the page, but can we flip over to? Are we still on Philly? Or you want to flip over and talk about the Cavs offseason?
No, we can talk about the Cavs offseason. Yeah, go ahead.
So big summer for Cleveland. You start out with, all right, we're able to pick up a second round pick because we don't have many of those left because we had to trade to get off some bad contracts like DeAndre Hunter, or a couple years ago we gave up like 4 seconds to get DeAndre Hunter. We have to give away seconds to get off the Lonzo Ball contract. So not real good last few moves for Kobe Altman, but we get this kid Malik Thomas. Even with trading back in, we save some salary cap money. We're taking this as of August 6th, and the Cavs are trying to work on some deals. James Harden's going to be back, but they haven't re-signed him. But Martin, they've made Evan Mobley untouchable. Evan Mobley would have netted them Jaylen Brown. That was a better offer. Evan Mobley would have netted them Giannis Antetokounmpo. That was a better offer than what Miami ended up providing. But who's to say either of those players would sign long term, or do you really want to pay Jaylen Brown $70 million and Donovan Mitchell $70 million 2 years from now? Like, there are all those wrinkles, right? But when it's about improving your roster from the team that just got the belt to them from New York, um, like it just we've done nothing. We let LeBron handcuff us. Um, Players signed elsewhere. You lost your lone and only and best perimeter defender in Dean Wade. So you've got this rookie Malik Thomas, and you have signed a very, very relatively non-guaranteed deal to bring back a 31-year-old Mario Hezonja. 6'10". He's an offensive improvement from Dean Wade, who, when he wasn't hitting his open threes was a problem and wasn't creating much offensively. But you lose so much defensively. He's nowhere in his stratosphere defensively that Dean Wade is. But they've missed out on a lot of moves. I mean, again, I guess judge him opening night, October 25th or 6th or whatever that ends up being, on what the roster looks like then. But I mean, Martin, it seems like they're running it back, and it's a lot of stock to put in a guy in Evan Mobley to say, you know what, year 6 is going to be the year where he makes that offensive leap and he's the dude and all the things. Like, granted, you get a full off season with James Harden, get to practice more plays, maybe you move some strategy things. Kenny had an awful playoffs as a coach that, in spite of, we overcame 2 straight game 7s, but Martin, they've done nothing. They have done nothing to improve this roster this offseason. And the East is an arms race. You got Giannis moving to a Miami team. Boston's still Boston. They picked up, it's driving me nuts. Help me out from the Knicks, Robinson. You got this lingering Kawhi and aspiration thing. I mean, like, if Kawhi comes east, and who knows at this point, right? Because that trade was kind of like, yeah, we may not do that. But, I mean, I don't see how Kobe survives this if it's a second round flameout this year. I don't see how Kenny survives this. It's way too much stress and pressure to put on Evan Mobley that you've held him out from all these things. Like, to me, I'm trying not to look at this as, rewind the clock 15, 16 years and, hey, we have to hold J.J. Hickson and not trade him for Amari Stoudemire. That's what I feel like I'm reliving. And I hope I'm wrong.
So you brought up the full, like Evan Mobley maybe having a full off season with Harden, but to my knowledge, he hasn't officially signed yet, hasn't he?
You cut out one more time. Who hasn't officially
I
signed?
meant James Harden. He hasn't officially signed a
Oh
new
yeah,
deal yet.
James Harden. But we're running out of teams. I mean, it's all reported. He is holding off to give the Cavs more flexibility between the margins with aprons to go pursue like a Peyton Watson and a sign and trade, or pursue a Jonathan Kuminga in a sign and trade, or something like that. So essentially, you can go over to sign your own players to whatever you want and take the tax penalties and all the apron stuff and everything else. But like, you get a bubble when you don't sign your own players, and they're generous like James is being right now, by all accounts, who will take a discount. And in this bubble, you get a little bit more wiggle room than you would if James just already commits, and then you become hard capped and you can't do anything. So, I mean, daily we're like refreshing as Cavs fans for updates on Peyton Watson. Good 6'10" guy who filled in with Jokic out last year, and some offensive scoring load taken on his backpack. But and I think he's only like 23, 24. So I mean, you're getting him on the upswing. But for the Cavs, how much is it going to cost? The only thing that's benefiting suitors right now, Clippers are in there as well, is Denver they're ridiculously getting into the tax and the repeater tax and all the different things that, at what point do they have to make some tough decisions? And for the Cavs, it's going to cost you a Max Strus, who might be the only dog on this team at times. And you have one tradable first round pick in the 2030s. Do you want to be looking back in 2030 and be like, man, do we really give that up for Peyton Watson? So who knows? Somewhere in there's the answer, but they've missed out on a lot in summary. I don't feel like this roster is any better. And they lost Keon Ellis too. We are just atrocious defensively without those folks, and we had to get better defensively. So again, I'm gonna have to wait and see my final assessment before opening tip. But they've got until then to figure something out how to improve this roster, Martin.
Yeah, because like you said, just staying in the East, I feel like there's just a lot of moves in the East because you hinted to because we haven't even talked about how Giannis finally got traded and it was to the Miami Heat.
Yeah, let's let's look elsewhere on other pieces. So I've gotten my Cavs off my back. I did have to splurge on eBay, Martin, and get some stock on a autographed Malik Thomas rookie card off the bat. We'll see if I overpaid or that's a good investment 10 years from now because the dude got buckets in summer league. So much so, first team all summer league. Obviously, the Cavs didn't advance the team, but I mean, he was just a flamethrower. Did you catch any of his games?
Caught a little bit. I only caught one full game, but nothing, not throughout the summer league. I can admit that I was too into the World Cup.
Yep, fair, fair. Just absolute dog in summer league. Yeah, Martin, let's do a brief aspiration update. I alluded to it, right? So you have this trade of Kawhi Leonard to go east, and he fires his agent, and he's trying to shed any kind of pieces for that would tie him to that as maybe defensible points to say, look, I got rid of Uncle Dennis and the guy who is a registered agent working as Uncle Dennis's minion, and I traded teams and I went back to the team that I left. So like for him, he's trying to find a PR way back to redemption and get the giant bag payday at his age where the Raptors will gladly pay him. But, this much longer, we don't have any resolution on it. And then there comes out that, hey, actually, I don't know, the league slipped in a paper when they tried to file the paperwork. The league claims that both sides were aware of this before they agreed to this trade. That like, hey, if the Wachtell Lipton lawsuit results in, something, or not lawsuit, but law, or the legal arm of the NBA, the third party investigating this. If it comes out that, hey, somebody's going to be held liable, and it could be Kawhi missing a chunk of games, they threw stuff out there that if Toronto trades for him, they are now on the hook, obviously. So they've like, well, we're going to press pause on this. We still don't have a resolution, Martin, and we are 2 months away from preseason basketball. It's just shameful that the league can't figure this out. It's shameful that they're playing the third party. Adam Silver, you're the commissioner. Make a decision. There is some precedent of this with the Joe Smith deal in Minnesota, which is a little bit of an overreach, but I mean, you got to just pull the trigger, make a decision, man. It's bad. So now the league's kind of held up with some of that as well too. But I mean, it's just ugly, Martin.
Yeah, I'm so confused because, like you already said, there's been no news. Like we're in August. The season starts in 2 months, like officially. And there's no news on what they're doing with this. And I think when does camp book in September? Camp is not that far away. So it's like, so where's Kawhi reporting? Is he reporting to LA? Is he reporting to, excuse me, to Toronto? Because like if he reports to Toronto, then like,
He
oh yeah,
went
we
to
can't.
Kyle Lowry's retirement one day, signing in Toronto.
So I don't know, confusing. And it's just been quiet. This should be a prominent story weekly.
I'm calling poutine on the whole thing.
Really, you are?
It was my only like Canadian reference I could slip in there. Yeah, it's just embarrassing for the league. And another piece, like let's stick on the topic of Adam and what's going on in Portland too, with this Tom Dundon stuff. And I mean, we are moving towards Tom Dundon's holding the city of Portland hostage for, it's no different than what we saw in Milwaukee with the new arena, right? But there's different tiers to this. And then there's like offering your main play-by-play announcer for TV, who's like the main voice that families in Portland, Trailblazers fans across America on League Pass are familiar with. And like, it's like a part of your family. Like at times, some of these long-term broadcasters like offers him like less than half of his salary to come back. And like, like that's not even really an offer. It's an offer to say bye-bye. So do that. You're not traveling the two ways. You're slashing office staff. And like, I mean, the tea leaves essentially are saying like he bought the Trailblazers team for like 4 point something billion. And then, which is like half, maybe not half, but like a good chunk less than if you were to buy an expansion team. But he basically did an alternative route to what he could make an expansion team and move somewhere else. And this was all under Adam Silver's watch. And Adams, then again, a guy rode the coattails into the Donald Sterling thing at the beginning part of his tenure and player this, player that. And he's been a lot about X's and O's and money lately and just not good decision making for the league. Aprons included. Even though the union signed off on aprons.
It's true. It's true. Evan, where do you want to go to next?
I'll let you pick. I've kind of steered the ship on the first. So we've covered the Cavs, we've covered Philadelphia, we've covered the Toronto mess, we've covered Adam Silver, we've touched base on the Trailblazers. We briefly touched base on the Celtics, who for the most part kind of bring back most of their team and bring in Robinson finally as a center. I'll let you do it next.
Do we touch on Miami?
Yeah, let's go back to Miami.
Yeah,
So Miami sells the farm.
Yep.
Goes all in on Giannis.
Yep.
In some ways, this is very similar to the acquisition of the big three. You ain't got no assets. You have no draft capital. You don't have no young players. Wiggins is still there. You still got the other 45, Mr. Mitchell, who's unrelated to Donovan Mitchell, who likes to call himself off night because he gives the best player on the other team an off night. And then, not a whole lot after that.
Bobby Portis.
Yeah, Bobby Portis. You've got Bam punching Tyler Hero in Vegas. I guess that was a thing briefly. No more Jaquez. They signed Tim Hardaway Jr. for like a vet min. He was good for Denver. That's probably a very good deal. It'll end up being, but like they're in the same spot as Miami was like in 2010, 2011 of we have to sign all the vet min dudes and figure it out. So, but I feel like Giannis traded one play-in team for another play-in team. I mean, again, we'll see. They might have a slightly higher ceiling than that, but I just don't see them being amongst the Eastern Conference elite.
Not with the team they currently have. They got to get some more pieces. I know it's probably not going to be this year, but maybe the next 2 years. But I agree. I maximum, I think they're a second round exit. And that's their max potential to me right now.
And Spoelstra's the kind of coach that can get him to a second round, in spite of, roster deficiencies.
Yep. But
Martin, let's shift west. So take out LeBron James, and the Lakers just started spending money, and they started spending money what it feels like on whatever, with the exception of it was abundantly clear. Luka said, I want a rim rolling big. I want a big who can be a defensive anchor behind me, and you pay whatever you want. And they paid whatever they want and did a significant sign and trade with the Utah Jazz for Walker Kessler, and they gave him the bag. So you lose a whole bunch of cap space. Obviously, it was freed up and is going to not be freed up for the next few years. And then you give away, your first you can trade, and now you got Walker Kessler. They also signed Colin Sexton, a couple other odds and ends around the fringes. They obviously want to see. They let Rui Hachimura walk across the city to the Clippers, I believe. It just kind of seems like a ragtag kind of group around Luka. Luka will figure it out with a little bit more offensive freedom. They re-sign Reeves. Thoughts there?
it's. Uh, I mean, the Lakers. I mean, they made it evident that they're building around Luca as they should. He's their 20-something-year-old star. It's just, what is this team better than last year? Obviously, we won't know till they start playing games. But I mean, their biggest priority was obviously re-signing Austin, and like you said, getting a big like Walker Kessler. Is this going to push them over the hump? Like during the LeBron tenure with the Lakers, you got the championship in 2020, but I think one other Western Conference round. But most of the time, this team was losing in the first round. So is this going to be enough to push them over the hump and get them to the second round, get them back to the conference finals? We'll have to see.
They also signed Zaire Williams. They signed Matisse Thybulle. Kevon Looney is a backup big. Sandro Mamukelashvili from the Raptors, who can shoot some threes. Quentin Grimes. Got Jaden Hardy from Washington. Yeah, I mean, I just don't. We'll see. Lucas teams are always frisky. We'll see what happens. But another team that kind of said, "Hey, we got an off season. We got money burning a hole in our pocket. Let's use it." And I mean, 2 years from now, they might be looking back and like, "Do we really needed to do that?" So we'll see. Martin, pick another team.
I'll pick this team not because they're going to be any playoff contention, just because it's funny how 2, 3 years ago we said this team could be one of the next up if things hold serve, and now it's all gone, and that's the Memphis Grizzlies.
Absolutely, a team that got hosed with the new rules. Trade away Jared Jackson Jr.
Yep.
for a first round pick that should have projected better. That with the odds now being adjusted, absolutely hosed. They would not make that deal if they knew today or if they knew then what they knew today.
Yep. Yep.
But a steady boozer in the draft. I mean, you got to rebuild, and great guy to rebuild with.
Just still, like, this team was on the cover of magazines as the next up, and now it's gone in a couple of years. Like, that's
Obviously,
just
Jaw has a lot
crazy.
to do with that, right? From the
Yes.
injury standpoint, from the IG live gun stuff. It's just, and I still question that head coaching move just days before the playoffs 2 years ago. Like, it's tough. Who knows if Zach Edey is going to stay alive? Just in terms of career health, he's going to physically stay alive. I meant to phrase that better, but yeah, it's sad.
So we'll just see. And then just going across the way, I don't know how this is going to go. Maybe this does free up Ant-Man, but LaMelo Ball to Minnesota.
I'm glad you brought that up. Fun experiment. T Wolves had to shake it up. Charlotte said, "Yeah, we're selling high on LaMelo." Yeah, that's an interesting one. We'll see how it goes.
And then the team that, besides the Cavs, who were waiting for LeBron, and his team who was waiting for him before they re-signed everyone, the Golden State Warriors.
They're just, I'm really surprised Steve Kerr's back. It's, that was a team I thought LeBron was seriously considering, but by all accounts, it seems like kind of he wasn't. Draymond, yeah, waited to sign his deal to give him flexibility to do so or look around for things. They re-signed Porzingis. Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot. They get the Michigan kid or Michigan adult. He's like 24 or 25. But I mean, he had a good summer league, but they just kind of seem like they're content. And there's been a lot of reports of Joe Lacob, the owner, kind of like looking ahead to like we're straddling these two timelines, and I'm not going to go all in to have a really good team around Steph because I got to prepare for when Steph hangs it up. Steph's like 37, 38, which is unfortunate. Who knows if maybe he'll be the next unhappy guy to ask out. I doubt it, but you know, once Luka gets traded, anybody can get traded, right?
That is true. 100%, man. 100%. Evan, in terms of other teams,
Yeah.
like there wasn't anything else that stood out to me personally. I know with the Thunder trading Lou Dort, I was kind of shocked by that.
Yeah.
And
We
Isaiah
got,
Joe,
and we got to talk. So essentially salary dumps there, right?
yeah,
To, recognizing, hey, these are contributors on our deep, deep team. We're getting penalized with apron stuff. And they essentially, in two separate deals, one with Isaiah Joe going to Detroit, good shooting upgrade for Detroit, who still hasn't resigned Duran, and by all accounts, they don't seem close. And Detroit saying, we're not going to max you out. We just saw Cleveland's two dogs, or two guys in the post. I don't know if they're dogs, but two guys in the post absolutely run roughshod on you. And we're not going to lock that much in. And he's like, give me my max money. So that's another weird one. I mean, Harden's coming back for sure. We knew Graham Green was coming back for sure, but also the market's dried up. Where's Duran going to sign? Like, who's got money other than Detroit too? So, and then you get Kason Wallace Lou Dort to Atlanta. The salary dump piece, and it's all financial decision making. But you know, they're betting on their own talent, other recent draft picks they've had. Martin, another couple quick out west teams. If he were still there, that's a guy I'd go after if I were Cleveland. And I got disappointed once I saw it. So Michigan State grad grabs Michigan State guy. Miles Bridges also
hmm
acquired for Phoenix. They doubled down on Dylan Brooks today as we're recording this and give him
yep,
an extension. San Antonio took kind of that Harrison Barnes, not a black hole, but just it is an upgrade. It's not much of an upgrade, but talk about a guy who just made a career of getting money and overpaid for stuff, and Tobias Harris from Detroit. I do like that ad for them. I mean, it stretches. Tobias Harris kind of carried, which says way more about Detroit than Tobias Harris. Some stretches for offense, but I mean, Tobias Harris didn't win you anything. But I like that as a small little win in the margins for San Antonio. And then they just went after beef in the draft, Martin. Like, they know, like, hey, if you're going to double up, triple up, and try to find people to throw at Wemby OKC, we're going to get more dudes to throw at Chet and make him an issue too. So I mean, they get Jaden Quaintance and Terrence Reed at picks 20 and 26. I mean, that's a lot of beef at big forward centers out of Kentucky and UConn as well. So I like their off season. And I mean, we'll see. De'Aaron Fox took a lot of heat, but that ankle sprain was bad, man. There's only so much you can do, young team. But I like those moves.
yeah, I do too. I would also say just looking at the people who are still available, technically via free agency. Obviously
Yeah, right them off.
we expect Harden to sign, so I'll read some of them. From like a center side, Bismack Biyombo, Mason Plumlee, Dwight Powell, Olivier Sarr, Nicholas Batum's still a free agent. Kevin Love is technically still a free agent. DeMar DeRozan, Dylan Jones, Doug McDermott. Obviously, you talked about him earlier. Peyton Watson. Jalen Duran, already talked about him, restricted. Brandon Williams, Russell
Yep.
Westbrook, Gabe Vincent, Isaiah Stevens, Jalen Pickett, Cameron Payne. Um, yeah, it's not your favorite Cav player from last year, Lonzo Ball, Cole Anthony. I mean, this is what we got right now. There's others, but this is what we got.
Martin, can we talk about the Washington Wizards?
Sure. Yeah, we can talk about the Wizards.
I think they're going to be frisky. Now,
Oh,
granted, a lot of that's dependent on health, but you have all these young, just kind of recklessly loose 19, 20-year-old wing dudes from previous year's drafts and bottoming out. You got Trae Young feeding them now, slash probably taking way too many shots than he needed. A lot of folks were in the LeBron free sweepstakes were like, hey, there's this discussion. McMenamin's reporting, Windhorse is reporting, like, you sweeten the pot and you go get AD. Wizards were having none of it. They did not want to give up AD. Like, they're fully intent on playing him. And obviously the odds matter. Like, be a winning team because you're going to have a lower percentage if you're in the bottom three, and the Wizards know that. Martin, I think that team could be frisky. And then you get AJ DeBanslet too. Great summer league. He's going to have a long NBA career if he stays healthy. I mean, saw enough of the tools to know, like, yep, I think at worst, this guy's like 65 cents on the dollar, Paul George. And that's a low floor. Like, he's going to be better than that. But, I think they're going to be frisky, Martin.
Everyone stays healthy. They're a playoff team. I believe it. Not saying they're going far in the playoffs, but they're a playoff team.
Yeah. Nothing is guaranteed, Martin. Nothing's guaranteed. You'll have the Pacers back in the fold. Chicago's pick. Love Caleb Wilson. He looked great. Orlando gets the new coach. Is that going to change anything? How far off is Charlotte going to fall with no Lonzo now, or will it be like an addition by subtraction piece?
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'm struggling to find who are the three worst teams. I mean, once you get outside of like Brooklyn in the East, probably Chicago. I'm struggling to find like a third worst team in the East. It's going to be that tough. Everyone's going to matter.
That makes for another great season, though.
Yeah, it does. No more being the whipping boys of you're not as good as the West as a fan of an East team.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I think the East can definitely hold its own. There's a lot of once it gets to second week of October, that excitement will really kick in that the season's about to start all over again. It feels like it just ended and we're 2 months away from it starting. But
Indeed.
we're gonna see.
We'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah.
Martin, anything else?
No. A lot of moves. There's still things to probably be done. I think we hit the nail on the head as especially Midwestern, just disappointed in Cleveland's free agency, especially since they finally, like you already said earlier, just restating, especially since they finally made it to an Eastern Conference Finals and they didn't have the initial, like, we're right there. We just need one more piece. We need the right piece. And we just stood tight while everyone else got better. So I don't want to get back to we made it to a conference finals and then everyone got better. Now we're back to just losing in the second round.
Yeah, I don't either. And so far we haven't done the moves to move the needle anywhere other than you froze, you let your people walk, you let LeBron wink at you once, and you're a worse team right now. You're a worse team on paper.
Yeah.
We got to find some people to play small forward. We'll see. Will you overpay for Peyton Watson or Jonathan Kuminga? And Golden State said we don't want to be in the Jonathan Kuminga business, and Atlanta's like, we're all right not being in the Jonathan Kuminga business either, but we're going to get something for him. So,
all right. That's right.
I'm not necessarily thrilled to sign myself up, but I also need somebody to play small forward who's above 6'6".
Right.
But Jalen Tyson might be that dude. We'll see. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll definitely see. But with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. We'll be back before you know it, previewing the NBA season, giving our picks, our predictions, conference winners, MVPs, things like that. Be on the lookout for that. Again, I know it's the month of August. A lot of people are coming back from summer vacations or whatnot. So enjoy these last couple weeks of summer. If you're one of our younger listeners going back to school, again, enjoy summer and then lock in for school and whatnot. With that being said, L7C podcast signing out.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.